applaud Him with thunders of grace. The light in His eyes shall enhance those awaiting, and we shall behold Him
one who endures to the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole world, as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. Those devoted to spreading the good news during the end times will endure till Jesus returns. So, how to endure? 7 biblical hints on how to endure till the end. Be joyful, hope, patient in trouble, and persistent in prayer. Supply the needs of the saints. Extend hospitality to strangers. That is, stay joyful, prayerful, and generous. Love is patient and kind. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. That is, show love in all that one does. Remember Jesus Christ, risen from the dead. I endure everything for the sake of the elect, that they also may obtain the salvation that is in Christ Jesus with eternal glory. That is, remember Jesus often, and talk about him with others. The saying is trustworthy: if we have died with him, we will also live with him. If we endure, we will also reign with him. If we deny him, he also will deny us. That is, look forward to reigning with Christ at his return. Let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Looking to Jesus, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. That is, make of Jesus one's model. Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. That is, view trials as opportunities for reward. If, when you do good and suffer for it, you endure, this is a gracious thing in the sight of God. For to this you have been called, because Christ also suffered for you, leaving you an example. That is, follow Jesus' example. Do this and you will endure, through the coming time of worldwide tribulation.
Jersey Shore business owners begin the unthinkable and heartbreaking task of surveying the damage to their livelihoods for the second time in a year following a massive fire along the Seaside Park boardwalk there.
It's about 4 blocks and about 30 different businesses were either completely destroyed or damaged significantly.
Extra obstacle being the south wind was blowing 25 to maybe 30 miles an hour from the south. So it's a difficult fire to fight when you're out in the open.
Pakistan's Baluchistan province, a powerful 7.7 magnitude earthquake on Tuesday reduced houses to rubble and killed over 200 people. It also appears to have created a new island in the Arabian Sea. 60 feet high, 250 feet wide, and 100 feet long. Scientists aren't sure if the mud and rock outcropping will remain in place or subside back into the sea.
Dang! Joker place! It's coming this way! No, he ain't coming. The daddy ain't coming? No, she ain't coming. Oh! Not towards the back! Ah!
Civil unrest. I've told you about civil unrest. What they have said about me, I'm a paranoid lunatic. I'm seditious. It's suffocating vision, I think a suffocating vision of paranoia. Really. Showing you for a year in advance, I told you unrest was coming to Europe, and then it's coming here. I have shown you now, in the last few months, the actual unrest and violence in the streets of Europe. Again, today in Greece, the union shut down public transportation. Who did I tell you would do that? The unions. Students are taking to the streets again in England over possible tuition hikes. I told you that would happen a year ago. We showed you the burning cars. We've showed you how they are mirroring the failed economic policies here in America. I'm a paranoid lunatic, seditious. This must just be suffocating paranoia. Now, let me ask you this. Are they willing now to say the same thing about the Pentagon? Because they have been wargaming an economic crisis for almost 2 years now. One of these war games was called Unified Quest 2011. Listen to what they are preparing for at the Pentagon.
In that wargaming series, they're looking at the implications of large-scale economic breakdown inside the United States that would force the Army to keep, quote, domestic order among civil unrest and force the Army to deal with fragmented global power and drastically lower budgets.
That's weird. That's weird. That's just paranoid lunatics. They're seditious over there at the Pentagon, I guess. Now, what would be some of the things that might cause civil unrest? Well, let me show you a picture today from theblaze.com. It's of the Alaskan National Guard taking part in an exercise here for civil unrest. Oh, what does the guy have, the demonstrator have? Well, it's a sign that says, "Food now." Well, why would he need a sign like that? Oh, yeah, that's right. The suffocating vision of paranoia. food shortage, or food being scarce, or food just being too expensive because coming inflation. Absolutely without merit, and I'm mentally ill. Really? The National Guard is going for that, along with the Pentagon. I've talked about the importance for preparing for tough times, having enough food and supplies, getting out of debt, being self-reliant. The reaction, without merit, doomsday, probably mentally ill. But when Time magazine posts an article, impending crisis, Earth to run out of food by 2050, I'm sure this is some sort of green nightmare. This is good journalism. The only people I trust in the government, only ones I trust, are the military. The military is preparing. Are you? But the military, I believe, are being boxed into a corner by people who actually have their hands on the levers of power. And it is those holding the levers of power that have been creating the conditions to make these scenarios possible. And that goes anywhere from Harry Reid to Obama all the way to the kingmaker himself, George Soros. Not the guy who has a stupid show at 5 p.m. or 2 p.m. Pacific. I mean, who am I up against in the Pacific Coast? The Price is Right? The media will demonize and glorify whom they want. The point of this monologue is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're me or Soros or the Pentagon or economic experts. It doesn't matter. We're now all saying the same thing. I've been saying it for 2 years. That should tell you something that they've now joined. Because the next thing on the docket is to control the media and to control food prices. Civil unrest and rising food prices and controlling the media. Oh, December 20th, FCC votes on the internet. If anybody doesn't believe this government is capable of doing these kinds of things, you're out of your mind. If you don't think the government could come in and take your gun, you're out of your mind. Let me show you this. You don't think that they're going to run roughshod over your civil rights? See this woman here? Probably never seen it. You should know her. Watch the video. This is the aftermath of Katrina.
I don't want to go because I got plenty.
Mandatory evacuation. Everybody in the...
See, this is why I didn't want to let you guys come in.
No, ma'am.
Because I wanted her in here, and all you guys come in, and I knew this.
Stop the tape here. Stop the tape here. She doesn't want to let them in. They want to take her gun. A law-abiding citizen. Do they take it? And what happens? Watch. Yeah, they throw her against the wall.
You got a gun. Relax, man.
Yeah, they took it. A law-abiding citizen. How old is she? 80? She hadn't broken any laws. Her guns were forcibly taken from her. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, they'll never do that again. They did it then. Oh, well, they'll never put troops on the ground. Posse Comitatus, you know, or Rock Me Amadeus, or whatever. President won't do that. Well, first of all, right. Second of all, remember the president established a little council of governors? They said it was just to prepare for a national crisis situation. President Obama established this little council that would involve the National Guard and Homeland Defense and civil support and synchronization and integration of all state and federal military activities inside the United States. Oh. But forget about that. Now, just go back to sleep. Forget. Shh, it's okay. Just listen to my voice. Think of the brilliant, kind-hearted philanthropist George Soros. He says Fox News and Glenn Beck are going to turn into dictators with a Tea Party and all the stupid people. Do not listen to what the evil con artist Glenn Beck says. By the way, back to reality here. The lady in New Orleans, she was robbed at gunpoint 2 days later.
Planned another closing message, but I feel compelled to say what I'm about to say. Now, I risk sounding like a conspiracy theorist, but it's no longer a theory. What I'm about to say is fact. The secret organizations of the world power elite are no longer secret. They have planned and are now leading us into a one-world communist government.
Executive order signed by President Obama has sparked controversy on both sides of the political aisle. The National Defense Resources Preparedness Executive Order was signed quietly Friday night. It gives the president the power to control U.S. resources.
The Rules Committee is going to meet in the House. They are going to come up with a rule that makes it okay for them to do a same-day bill. So they'll pass this rule. It's, believe it or not, called martial law.
This would give the President of the United States the authority to declare basically martial law during times of peace.
There are new disturbing developments out of Washington tonight regarding the President's belief that he has the legal authority to assassinate U.S. citizens. Incredibly enough, it appears that our commander-in-chief actually believes that authority exists not only on foreign soil, but right here on American soil as well.
But Senators McCain and Levin have added this legislation which would authorize the president to declare the entire United States of America, all 50 states and all territories, to be a battlefield, even though there's no battle, thanks be to God, going on here.
War on terror is different.
And that would authorize him to use commander-in-chief authority in the United States, to use the military to arrest people in the United States who, in the president's opinion, are enemies of the country.
Particularly to hear President Obama claim the power to keep people in prison indefinitely with no charges against them, no conviction, no sentence, just imprisonment.
Joining us now is former Secret Service agent Dan Bongino. Dan, thanks a lot for joining us. What do you mean there's no such thing as gun control, only people control? Tell me what that means.
Tucker, this is larger ideological ploy by this administration. They're not being authentic with America, whether it's the sequester, healthcare, or the gun control issue. What they do is they manipulate an emotional crisis, a national emotional crisis, to further an ideological agenda which involves the evaporation, the slow disintegration of your civil rights, your liberties, your ability to live and let live. And it's a disturbing pattern that, frankly, is really starting to get under my skin.
The U.S. is funneling money into tracking systems that are threatening to make the very concept of privacy a thing of the past. It could mean people's every move being used against them to keep them under surveillance.
The information age was an era nearly everybody embraced. But today's surveillance age, experts say, is a reality almost no one can escape.
David, why does the DHS need 450 million hollow point bullets?
That kind of ammo that they purchased from ATK, hollow point ammunition, as you had explained, it's designed to, tear through human flesh and then expand. It's designed to kill people. This is not the optimal kind of ammo you would buy for target practice. It's more expensive and it's more precise.
Do you think this is a sign that they're preparing for some sort of mass civil unrest?
So they have an open bid right now, DHS, for even more ammunition, for 175 million rounds of .223 caliber rifle ammo. It's almost identical to the ammunition used by NATO peacekeeping forces. So that's very interesting. Are they planning on some kind of widespread economic unrest in the U.S. that would require NATO forces to help us out?
$500 million in surplus military weaponry from the Pentagon, which is authorized through the Pentagon's 1033 program. During the late 70s, Congress passed legislation called Posse Comitatus, barring the military from operating on American soil. And in the early 80s, there was an effort to circumvent that in Congress by arming police with military-grade weaponry. And now we're seeing that play out in the streets. People in the inner city in the U.S. have been experiencing this. So civilians in the U.S. are now up against basically military-style policing.
The battle against terrorism involves all of us. Everybody in this country is a potential terrorist.
The Department of Homeland Security sent to law enforcement agencies across the country warning about the potential for an increase in right-wing extremist activity. It warns about groups and individuals dedicated to single issues like abortion, immigration, and gun rights.
Tonight, our focus is on every American's right to freedom of expression and freedom of religion. It's the Christians who are under siege by government officials and anti-religion groups who think Christmas and Christianity have no business in the public arena.
The Department of Defense has just issued a new list of extremists that should be watched. And on that, in fact, number one, past the Muslim Brotherhood, and past Hamas, Hezbollah, number one, evangelical Christians.
We begin tonight with a newly leaked U.S. Army military police training manual for what they are calling civil disturbance operations. The Army manual outlines the plan to kill rioters and demonstrators in America. That's right, they have plans to confiscate our firearms and kill American citizens on U.S. soil. This during a mass civil unrest, I guess, shooting innocent civilians perhaps. And it goes on to describe how prisoners will be processed through internment camps. Wow. So there you have it. Our own military being trained for armed conflict with U.S. citizens. They're being trained to confiscate our guns and preparations to process us into camps during civil unrest.
A pretty scary scene along the Chicago River turns out to be a military training exercise.
There was nothing routine that folks reported about seeing the jarring, as they witnessed the jarring scene of at least 3 Black Hawk helicopters flying at times in close order formation.
Just in, a military drill in downtown Miami, complete with these Black Hawk helicopters, elite soldiers and police officers swarming the street.
Take a look, swing back over here. This may be involved in this training or not. Again, let me tell you what all of this is that we know of. It's a joint military training exercise involving local police, also military.
Sight of Army helicopters and the sound of gunfire created a lot of concern this afternoon in one Houston neighborhood.
There were armed men in fatigues, plenty of weapons, and what many thought were real live rounds.
So here's the article by Steve Watson. Military helicopters conduct covert exercises over U.S. bank buildings. This is all part of other drills going on to acclimate the public to being attacked by our own military that are happening here in the United States. Here it is.
LAPD and elite military units conducted extraordinary counterterrorism training in the skies above downtown LA tonight.
At one point, they made what appeared to be a drop-off at a park. Within seconds of landing, the helicopter was back in the air.
It was a strange sight in the skies over Los Angeles. Military Special Forces flying a practice mission last night, and there are more exercises scheduled for today. The entire city of Boston is in lockdown. In the suburb of Watertown, police with guns drawn are searching door to door.
I mean, we had martial law up there. FBI and all these agents coming in, closing things down, going to people's houses.
Mr. President, I do want to get right to the news of this week.
Sure.
The terrorism in Boston.
Yeah.
Many people have wondered if it took you right back to 9/11 when you heard it.
Well, at first, I was deeply concerned that there might have been a organized plot. I don't know all the facts. I don't think we all know all the facts, but I was deeply concerned that this could have been, another.
Move. Targets.
That's the one right there designed for civilian control.
Wow, it's a gift that keeps on giving. What's up behind? It's a long train. It's all the ammunition that goes with it.
Yeah. There's our 1 billion rounds of 9mm right there. 2 billion rounds, I think it is. There's trucks carrying gun turrets that go on those other vehicles.
Wow.
We're in trouble.
And so what we're doing here, and let's not kid about it, we're building a domestic army and we're shrinking the military because the government is afraid of its own citizens. The last time more than 10 terrorists were in the same place at one time was September 11th, and all these vehicles in the world wouldn't have prevented it, nor would it have helped anybody. So I don't know where we're going to use this many vehicles and this many troops. Concord is just one little cog in the wheel. We're building an army over here, and I can't believe that people aren't seeing it. Is everybody blind?
And they can crush us. I mean, you've got Sheila Jackson Lee, who is calling for martial law. That's insane. That's getting rid of the Constitution of the United States. So we've got a government here that seems to be wanting to create the conditions that they want to take our Second Amendment. You know, they're going for the Second Amendment.
The Air Force today fired the two-star general in charge of its nuclear missiles for undisclosed personal misbehavior and a, quote, loss of trust. This is the second firing of a senior commander of our nuclear forces this week. Major General Michael Carey, removed from command of the 20th Air Force. Carey was responsible for 3 wings of intercontinental ballistic missiles, a total of 450 missiles at 3 bases across the country. A Pentagon official was asked whether Carey's dismissal was alcohol-related. He didn't respond directly, but said Carey is not an alcoholic.
Now have blocked off Biscayne Boulevard. If you take a look, swing back over here. This may be involved in this training or not. Again, let me tell you what all of this is that we know of. It's a joint military training exercise involving local police, also military, as someone shot some video of some of these choppers, military-style choppers, flying over 395 in downtown. This was last night.
Holy
right, so some blank rounds of gunfire pinging off the high-rises here in downtown Miami.
Damn.
You know, part of this is to demonstrate what the city does so that if it happens in real life, people will have some understanding of what's going to happen. So you got to see a bunch of the pieces of capability through this scenario. Not all of them, but a lot of them. This is something we constantly worry about. The threat is always there. You know, what happens in other regions of the world is important, but I think we have enough of a homegrown issue that all of this needs to be practiced continuously.
Sight of Army helicopters and the sound of gunfire created a lot of concern this afternoon in one Houston neighborhood.
She told me don't come home because it sounded like we're in a war zone. Guns shooting and helicopters flying around over the house.
The Army, along with other agencies, had taken over the old Carnegie Vanguard High School. There were armed men in fatigues, plenty of weapons, and what many thought were real live rounds.
I felt like I was in a war zone. It just was nonstop. So I was terrified.
Turns out it was a multi-agency training drill.
And an Army major who was out here wouldn't tell us exactly what kind of training they were doing. HPD was aware of what was going on, but the fire department apparently wasn't. In fact, an ambulance was even dispatched this way for a shots fired call until HPD told them. Army major who was out here wouldn't tell us exactly what kind of training they were doing.
Terry.
Good, I just wondered, I never seen you guys out here. What you training for?
Yeah, we out here, what we're doing is we're part of a big National Guard exercise.
Right, but what I get concerned about is when I know that they have FEMA camps building all over the country, which congressmen deny, and then they're caught on tape admitting that they're doing them. They got military training and in some places even doing like illegal checkpoints just to see that, and what I see, the federal government, Homeland Security buying over 2 billion rounds of ammo ordered just in the last year, and they're building up big-time military for something, and it's not just for natural disasters. I think personally, I think they know because of the derivative meltdown, they're getting ready for an economic collapse and martial law and everything else.
I can't really say on that, you know.
It's about to take in effect pretty soon. Just want to drive by and show you so you can see how they're about to they're training already, and these guys more likely are not Americans. They're probably foreign troops that are getting ready to invade America.